That's live action here at the bar. You guys come join us next time you're in the city. CIT, the lender to retail and fast food franchisees and a recipient of no less than $2.3 billion in TARP welfare funding, is reportedly ever closer to having to actually file for bankruptcy despite all that welfare money. Go personal call. Conventional wisdom is that a CIT bankruptcy would hurt the ability for those franchisees to get loans. But isn't it possible that if the idiots who invested in and the incompetents who ran CIT were forced into bankruptcy, that some smart managers and investors could come in, start profiting, and lending immediately? We're joined by Patriot Partner CEO Lynn Tilton. Lynn, I think last time you were here, you were sort of arguing for a CIT bailout, but there's new news. You are going to start a competing company against CIT, buy up their assets, start lending to small businesses, and my vision of what should have happened is here.
Boy, that's extrapolation on my announcement, but leave it to you, Cody, to get me in there buying CIT.
I mean, well, they're assets anyway. You're going to start buying some of those worthless loans for 5 cents on the dollars.
The loans aren't necessarily worthless. I mean, look, CIT's in financial trouble. The cost of borrowing compared to the interest coming off their assets is in a tremendous mismatch. Plus, they made some bad investments. They got away from their traditional asset-based business, which is lending against assets and very low default rates. I do want to start a bank holding company, and we're working on that, to buy up community and regional banks to bring relationship lending secured by assets back to small and mid-sized businesses. Because the reality is there is no lending to small and mid-sized businesses, which is why unemployment's at 9.8%, but really 20%. 1 out of every 5 people in this country are unemployed. And basically, the above 27 weeks went up another 450,000 employees to 5.4 million people. That's 35% of all the people unemployed are at above 27 weeks. Why? Because we have the populace of the permanently unemployed. Because every day we're losing companies to liquidation, and no one's paying attention. And I've been saying the same thing for a year now, that TARP wouldn't work the way it was done, that nothing would get into industry, that companies would liquidate, and we'd have no place for people to work.
Well, what are the banks doing with all this money that we've lent them then? They're not lending it.
They're not lending it to small and mid-sized companies.
Their CEOs
and they're trading, and their cost of borrowing is close to zero, and they're doing things that are making them a lot of money. But they're not taking high-risk loans to small and mid-sized companies. They're not doing things that take a lot of bodies and a lot of energy.
You should be outraged about this stuff, Lynn.
I am. So I'm trying to do something about it. I have an SME rescue loan plan in front of Treasury that I'm trying to get them to use.
SME, small, medium enterprise.
Very good, Cody. You and I got that rhythm going. We got that mojo.
You hit the nail. You just hit a topic that's near and dear to our heart here. 0% financing for the banks. Even despite TARP, in addition to TARP, in addition to PPIP, in addition to TALF, they're out there borrowing my welfare money from the government at 0%, risking it in the markets. Are you going to get in access to 0% welfare money also?
She hopes so.
In my wildest dreams. No, look, in the end, I'm hoping that we'll form this bank holding company or buy a bank and then begin to build assets. I'm doing it with my personal money because I can't do it with private equity money. That's how much I believe in it, because I don't think we have an economy if we don't have people working in this country. I mean, in Michigan, the unemployment rate's 28%. You talk about investing there. In 2007, the average home cost $90,000. Today, it costs $8,000.
Yeah.
Where's this on TV?
That's what we need to ask the CEO out there of Ford. What about these jobs? Everybody criticizes them because they're union jobs. But we're talking about any kind of jobs.
Look, who will you be lending to in these markets? You're going to be lending to franchisees? I call those corporate America, too. What about lending to small local business?
That's what I want to rebuild. I want to rebuild relationship lending secured by assets. So, financing, ABL lending, inventory receivables, dealer financing. Right now, boat dealers can't get any financing. All the dealership financing's gone. I mean, there's a secular change in industry in this country.
Okay, so they're going to get these loans secured by collateral, whatever the business has as collateral, but if they're not making sales, doesn't matter how much collateral, you're going to be stuck with an auto dealership lot with cars that won't sell and a building that no one wants to lease. The key there, jobs.
Jobs,
Talk
right? That's the
about
whole
jobs.
point. I mean, look, I'm a solution provider. When I look at this economy, our biggest problem is employment.
Yes.
Right? And the reason that unemployment keeps rising is because there's no access to capital for small and mid-sized companies. Over 80% of our workforce is in small and mid-sized companies. They can't get the basic working capital loans they need to buy materials until the time that they receive their product.
Right.
So there's an inequitable distribution of wealth to the largest banks that are TARP infused versus the smaller banks, and nothing is going. And there's so little data reported that people don't see it, but I see it every day because they're coming to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we see 20, 25 deals a week where people will go into liquidation, and we're not talking about tiny companies. We're talking 50 million to 500 million companies. They cannot get bank lending.
Rebecca's been saying for day one, save the economy, save the jobs,
save the economy.
Exactly.
I was saying that from day one of this show. We're going on our 2-year anniversary.
So we agree on almost everything.
And no one's listening out there except for Lynn Tilton. My thanks and Coach.
I heard. I repeated it. I've been listening from day one, girl.
And thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Love to you.
Thank you.
Keep us posted. On tap, Eric test driving the Ford 150 pickup today.